Hey guys, welcome to the preview, round 4 of Inside Ball. Kevin Walters, the great Kevin Walters, and Ben Dobbin with you. Before we get into our preview of the rounds, we've got to talk about the biggest story of round 4, and arguably, it could be the biggest story of the year.
Yeah.
Daly Cherry Evans set to leave after 15 seasons from the Manly Ringer Seagulls. Your initial thoughts?
Oh, really surprised that the way it unfolded and developed just in one night on television.
Yeah.
Between Fox and Channel 9, they held all the big cards as far as DCE's career goes.
It was unbelievable viewing, and I've got to say, it was handled, I thought, by Manly. I reckon they dropped the ball. Now, here's what I know, Kev, and then I'd love it. I was hearing for probably the last 6 weeks that Daly was done at Manly.
Right.
Now, if Manly can say what they want, but Daly Cherry Evans and his management absolutely categorically swear that there was no offer put to them at all.
I'm going to pull you up. Was he expecting an offer before November 1 for next year? So he's off.
Well, he's off contract. He wanted an offer. Before he even started. He went to them in December. There was no offer given. Now, all the talk is, to me, is that they wanted to play next year. They believed that potentially they might play Tommy at 6 and Luke Brooks at 7. They've been talking about that.
DCE go.
Well, they didn't know whether or not he was going to retire or not. He was told to go and have a look around and get some markets. He didn't get any. Obviously, he didn't get any offers. They hadn't offered him anything. The first offer he was given was through NRL 360. Great TV. Great TV. And well done to NRL 360 for securing an offer. But come on.
Wasn't it Steve Crawley that
he received the call from Tony Mestroff, the CEO of Manly, and then that was relayed, and then obviously Braithen Astor had offered that Manly. Can you talk to me as a player? Put yourself as a player first. If the first time you'd been at the Broncos your whole life, you were having discussions, they knew that you were upset, and then they offer is public. Mate, come on.
Yeah, that's not good for either party, I think. It's not good for DCE to get the information that way, or it's poor form from Manly to handle the situation. That's why they have player managers. That's why they have... Go and talk to the player. I love talking to the players about if they're re-signing. I always open a conversation with the player. You've got to talk to the player as their coach, and they need to know how you feel about them. Not only about their football, but also whether you actually want them at the club or not. I just can't believe this has happened.
Their most capped ever player at Manly, 15 years, the coach, the CEO, the chairman, no discussion. It was only with Peter Jennell. Now,
why didn't DCE go and see Anthony Seibold and say, mate, what's happening here?
Well, he was instructed by the club that Peter Jennell was to do the negotiations. Right. So that's how they did it. And the comparison was, well, Olakauato did it that way through Peter Jennell. I'm sorry, did the head of football do the deal with Adam Reynolds?
No, he didn't.
Who did the deal?
Myself and the CEO.
Thank you. Enough said. That didn't happen at Manly.
Right.
Okay, so you can understand how the player who, I'm not going to say he's the greatest Manly player of all time, because I'm just not, but he's the most capped, and he's a 15-year, and he's a current club captain,
right.
Could feel a little disrespected by that.
So he's told Manly that he won't be there next year. Is there a chance they can get back together and he stays at Manly?
Well, history will show that has happened before. I don't think it will, but I'm not going to rule it out.
If not Manly, then you got your ear to the ground.
Well, everybody's saying the Roosters, but I think the Dolphins.
Right. This is going to have huge, I believe, huge ramifications for Manly this year in their season. It could have.
Do you reckon it will?
Well, I'll take my mind back to the Super League war, and 5 Brisbane players, myself included, Glenn Lazarus, Chris Johns, Glenn Lazarus, my brother Kerrod, Willie Kahn, and I think Michael Hancock, we drove out to the airport. This is in the middle of the Super League war. We'd already signed with Super League. The Australian Rugby League had asked to meet us at the airport. So we drove out to see what they had to say. Wayne Bennett didn't know. Alan Langan didn't know. John Rebo didn't know. So they're the three most influential people at the Broncos at the time. We met them. They offered us contracts. They were double what the Super League had offered us.
Is that right?
In Glenn Lazarus's case, it was nearly triple. Right? So we meet them. We met all the heavies. Bob Fulton was there. James Packer was there. And there was one other official from the ARL. We got the information. We came back. We're at training the next day. And Alf wouldn't talk to us. He got wind. It was in the paper that we were out there meeting them. We got wind. He didn't talk to us. I went to Wayne. I said, what's wrong with Alf? He said, what do you think's wrong with him? I said, well, I don't know. What? He said, he is filthy with you blokes for going out and meeting the opposition. He didn't talk to us for 2 days, Dobbo. Dead set did not talk to us for 2 days.
Why didn't you take the dough? Why didn't you go?
Well, we stayed loyal to the Broncos. And Lazo took the biggest hit.
Because the club was a Super League club, was that the reason?
More so. We didn't want to pull the club apart, mate. And I'll be honest, our Super League offers were much more than what we had previously been on at the Broncos.
Okay.
So
the bottom line is the club would have disintegrated even after 2 days. Alf wouldn't talk to you. It would have fractured the club.
It happened at with the Bulldogs. Didn't it?
It did.
They pulled three out of there.
Jared McCracken.
Jim Dimmick
and Dean Pay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think Manly? Do you think this Manly? Even though
this is only one player, so DCE.
He's their captain. He's their best player.
Yeah, I know. So again, I want to see the season unfold. I want to know how Tom Trbojevic feels about DCE not wanting to play there next. I mean, these things, and I don't know. I'm assuming their relationships are all strong and they're thick. So, and maybe today's players are a little bit different. You know, they think a little bit differently. I don't know. But I'd hate to think that this would derail Manly's season because they're a chance. They should be in the top four if they can stay healthy and be fit.
They could challenge for the comp.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, they lose Paseka. It's a huge out, but they've got Brown and a few players. But Kev, I just want to know: should the club? I know everybody's saying there's a bit of blame on both sides, but
they should look after their captain more than
this
that.
Guy is a 15.
I want to see DCE finish his time.
I think we all do.
Manly. I think when I look at DC, I see Manly. That's all I see. I don't see another club. And I think that's really
what about
special.
the Dolphins?
No, well, I wouldn't like to see him go. Honestly, I'd rather see him stay at Manly. He's a Manly player. But again, you know what I want to see happen? I want to see what's best for DCE because he's given this game everything for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And he's playing the best football he's ever played. I remember being at Suncorp when he backflipped on the Titan. They were booing him, mate.
I was there that night.
But now he's turned his career around just through hard work and determination at that club, and also how good has he played for Queensland?
He's an Origin captain.
Yeah, well, I was fortunate enough to give him
the back.
captaincy.
Yeah,
and mate, he was a tremendous person to work with. So I don't understand why the relationship between them is the way it is.
Kev, is he worth $1 million a season?
Well, 100% he is, mate. Yeah.
Right. So the $750 that was offered through the media, that is rotten on the. I mean, they can say
right now, Dobbo, he's worth certainly. He's in the top 2 or 3 halfbacks in the game.
Okay, so if you do that, Cleary's one, right? Cleary's one. So you know that. Then you've got there is a few other very very good halves in the game, but he's in the top 5. So if Dylan Brown's worth 1.3, and I understand that's a longer deal, he's younger. $1 million is not out of the realm for him for next season.
I'm sure third parties and the like, they could easily reach, I mean, if they say $750, well, pay him $750 on the cap, but find him $200,000 or $300,000
somewhere else.
And then he stays at Manly if he wants to stay.
I hate the yarn, Kev. I hate the yarn as well. I think he should be at Manly. I'd love to, but my understanding is he won't be at Manly next year.
Okay. Well, whoever gets him is getting a bloody good footballer.
Hopefully it's the Dolphins because, I mean, that'd be wonderful.
Well, if anyone, I'd love to see him come back to Queensland.
Yeah.
He played junior football there.
Well, could he go with Des? God forbid. I mean, is he going to end up a Titan?
He could do. Watch this space.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about, we'll focus on the Queensland teams. Tonight, look, obviously there's that game tonight, and I don't want to get too bogged down with all the teams, but if we have a look at just exactly what the Telstra Premiership's going to handle tonight, it's a big game for the Panthers. They take on the Rabbitohs. Who do you like?
I think the Panthers.
Yeah.
Rabbitohs, Campbell Graham's not playing, is he? He's been ruled out, unfortunately. They do get Alex Johnson back, so that's a big in for them. But the Panthers are without a couple of key players. Dylan Edwards not there. Nathan Cleary not there. I think they've got enough depth, more depth than what Souths have. So I think they'll just sneak home tonight, the Panthers.
I agree with you. Accor Stadium, Allianz Stadium, Friday night.
Yeah, Roosters,
Titans. I'm going to tell you why I believe the Titans can win.
Yeah, well,
Are you with it?
I'm with you.
Yeah, you think they're there?
Definitely.
Kinney's not there, so De Groot's there. Now, Kinney, I spoke to a bloke today who is in the know, and Des is minimising it, but it could be season ending, the neck injury.
For the neck, right.
Yeah, so
there's not much information coming out.
No. I've spoken to a bloke today who is in the know. He said, look, it's by no means, but it's going to be a long-term injury with Keanu Kinney. Does that change the complexities? I know they've got an abundance of fullbacks. They put that De Groot who played for Ipswich last week.
Yeah.
They had a big win, and he's very good. They've got big raps on him, but
if he's out long-term, that's big ramifications for the Titans, right? You need your best players. We know that in the NRL. A week or two that they can survive with this young fella coming in and just doing...
Well, it's going to be longer than that. It's going to be 8 weeks minimum.
Right. Well, that puts question marks for me. You need your best players, Dobbo.
Do you? I know we're talking in riddles here. You've got AJ playing 6.
Well, that's an option.
Put him back there. You bring in a makeshift. You've got some foreign will come back at some page. Yeah. You.
That's an option. But if the Titans are going to have the season we want them to have and get into the 8, finish that bottom half of the top 8, they need Kinney playing more than that. If he misses 8 weeks, that puts him in a bit of a hole, I would have thought.
We're tipping the Titans tomorrow night, though.
Yeah, we will. Against the Roosters, Lindsay Collins is back. Nat Butcher's back for them. 2 big ends for them, good experienced players. I just saw a lot from the Titans. I liked what I saw against Newcastle, particularly the 2 halves combining and the hooker. They look like they've got a good thing happening there. So I'm going to tip the Titans.
Battle of Brisbane last year.
Oh, this is a bit one-way traffic.
But last year it ended in tears.
Oh, it did last year.
Well, let's not bring up last year.
No, why'd you bring it up?
Well, I just thought I'd just throw it out there.
Not going to bring it up.
Okay. It's going to rain. I reckon there'll be 3 inches of rain tomorrow, and I think it's going to be a very wet game.
Right.
I don't know who you're tipping.
Well...
But does the weather change your selection?
No, the weather doesn't change it. It probably just narrows the margin a little bit. I think, for me, the Dolphins, we need more from their forwards, more punch from their forwards. They're not providing enough of a platform for their halves and to bring Hammer into the game. They're not providing enough go forward. Jeremy Marshall-King's numbers are down from last year. He's a terrific footballer and very clever and can create opportunities for the Dolphins, but he hasn't been given that opportunity because I feel their middle forwards aren't doing enough, And the Broncos, well, they were good last week, against the Cowboys without being brilliant. They're at home. I know it's an away game for the Broncos, but the only difference is they get changed in the away dressing room. But, Haas last week, 207 metres, 17, he was magnificent, wasn't he? And then Pat Carrigan backed it up with him. For those two, lay the platform. So Renault had a terrific game, Adam Reynolds, with his kicking and short kicks. So that brings those guys. It gives them the space to work with. Walshy still hasn't hit his straps yet either. I mean, he was better last week, but we haven't seen the best of him. So if those guys, get their stuff together, I think they'll create a lot of problems for the Dolphins. Saifidi was the only middle forward to run over 100 metres. So that to me tells me that they're not getting enough punch through the middle of the field. And they got guys there, I think, that can do that for them, but they've got to roll the sleeves up. Kafusi can cart the ball forward as good as anyone, but he's got to roll them up. He's got to hit the line hard so he can create that space for the Dolphins, for Nikorima to do his stuff and to bring Hammer into the game as well.
You give him a chance.
I give him a chance, but Brisbane, on what they showed last week, will have too many big guns. Katoni Staggs back as well for the Broncos, so that's a good sign for them.
You tip?
I'm going Brisbane, yeah.
By how much?
Well, it depends on the weather, mate, on the rain. The Dolphins will show up. It's only a short history between the two clubs.
There's no love lost there.
There's no
there's
plenty of fire and brimstone.
I know. It's going to be big.
And Herbie Farnworth last year, he nearly destroyed the Broncos by himself. So if he gets his mind in order for a big game, and there's a couple of ex-Broncos in that side, in the Redcliffe side, Dolphins side, yeah, they won't have it all their own way, the Broncos.
We'll call them Redcliffe because they wore their...
no, they're the Dolphins, mate. You know that.
They can be the Dolphins, but if they're the Dolphins, they don't wear a Redcliffe jersey from 1960 last week. They are the Redcliffe. I know they don't want to call themselves that. I'm calling them that. I know I'm not trying to upset them, and sorry, Trad, but I mean, seriously.
Well, you just did upset them.
Yeah, well, I've upset them. Can I just ask you this now? We haven't seen anywhere near the best of Hammer. You talk about how Hammer reacts. Is it he's just got to stay true to himself? He just looks really restricted at the moment.
No, well, this would be my advice if I was coaching him. I'd say, mate, see this middle corridor? That's where you stay for the whole game.
Yeah,
you stay around there. You get Cody Nikorima to pass you some inside balls at different times. You push through the middle in support. You'll get a couple of offloads from Kafusi and co.
Yep.
And just stay in the middle. Because at the moment he's everywhere, but not getting
going
the right
sideways.
Yeah, and they're trying to use him out wide, on those block shapes and that, which that's easier to defend than particularly in the wet through the middle with slippery grounds and him with his speed and his footwork. I think he can create some headaches through the middle of Brisbane's defence. So
come on, Hammer. You've heard from the coach. You know what you can do.
He loves scoring tries.
He does. He does.
Particularly at Suncorp Stadium. So
okay, we move across. I think the Storm will be too good for the Dragons. Are you confident in that one?
Yeah, Storm have got a couple of big outs too, haven't they, with Hughes, broken hand.
Yeah. Nelson looks like he's in doubt. Meany's got a fractured cheek.
Yeah.
Still they look good. I mean, we haven't talked about Christian Tuipulotu being banned from post-match celebrations. We did have a crack at him a couple of weeks ago. You don't do a post-match try celebration even if you don't, and if you don't score the try. He got in on the act and he didn't even score the try. So I think Flano, have you ever had to, as a coach, have you ever had to tell boys, hey mate, we don't do post-match celebrations?
Well, they never used to be part of the game, right? Yeah. And gradually they've been introduced. And I actually like them. It gives players.
But when you're losing, you don't do it.
When you're losing, the money man and all that stuff. No, I'm not a fan of that. And his coach had a chat to him. Flanagan had a chat to him about it all. You see the different handshakes in that play. That's just the modern game, mate. Players, they like to express themselves a whole lot more now than, back 5, 10, 15 years ago. So I got no problem with the try celebration. Some are actually funny. Isn't there a round?
Sportsbet have a round where they pay. I've got to talk to you just about this one thing. Not everything's right there. Flano did stuff up with his criticism of Lachlan Ilias in the post-match press conference.
He apologised for it.
He did apologise.
It's not the right arena.
Is it hard? I've got to ask you as a coach, when you have a loss, you're hurting, journos are jamming you with questions at the press conference, it's very difficult to get that message. How difficult is it? We've got to cut Shane Flanagan a little bit of slack because he did say, sorry, I'd just be fascinated. Yeah. You've been in that situation where you probably said stuff that you wish you could get back.
Yeah, well, I was fortunate enough to watch about 500 of Wayne Bennett's press conferences.
Yeah.
And if you look at Wayne's press, and he handles the press as good as anyone, he doesn't really give them too much. Yeah. And he controls the narrative. And even if you might see Wayne get a bit upset once every 6 weeks. He knows he's got 2 or 3 of those a year where he can fire up a bit and put a bit of pressure back on the referees, the NRL, but he never puts pressure on his players.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Well, that was a mistake. I think I just
and
wonder,
it's not the right avenue to be critical, I feel, of the players. That's for midweek. And after a game, your emotions are up and down. Wayne always told me that as well. Just be careful what you say to teams and players after a game because often your emotions can get the better of you. Whether you win and you think, you give out too much praise, or the flip side is you lose and you're too critical. Wayne never used to say bugger all after a game. There's 2 speeches at half-time that he used to give, one when you're in front and one in your ball. It's simple. Rugby league's a simple game, and I think the simpler you keep it for everyone, yourself included, and that's messages after the game. So those press conferences, Dobbo, you're in there waiting. They're up to 20 minutes, half an hour after a game. So the coach's time to digest things through his mind and what the message he needs to send out to the rugby league world. So he's got time to think about it. That's why there's a duration of time after the game where he can gather his thoughts, speak to some people that he trusts, get his thoughts on the game, and then go and do the press conference.
Fascinating. Big game on Saturday in North Queensland.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, Dobbo.
Canberra.
I want to see the Cowboys fire up a bit. They showed a little bit on the weekend.
You give them a chance?
I give them a chance, yeah. Of course I do.
It's been raining like cats and dogs up in Townsville.
Well, that
Canberra have been up there since Monday. They flew straight up from their loss at Brookvale.
It's not a hit and run.
No. Ricky's had them there all week, and he's smarting off the back of what happened at Brookvale. So, tell me why the Cowboys are going to get off the duck.
Well, Taumalolo was good from last week. I thought his carries through the middle got the Cowboys some momentum. There's only been him and Cohen Hess last week all season to run more than 100 metres as a forward in a game. That's not enough players. They need 4 or 5. He ran for 150 metres last week, Jason Taumalolo, and Cohen Hess 10 runs for just over 100 metres. So that's not enough. You need more. So they need more from their middles, which will give the space. And even their outside backs aren't getting the metres that they got last year. You know, you got Drinkwater last year. He was running for about 150 metres a game. This year he's well down on that. You know, and his try assists, he had 27 try assists for the season last year. He's had 1 in 3 games. So I feel that their attack is lacking because their middles aren't getting the go forward that they need to give once again. And so we say it all the time, give their backs the space that they need. And Drinkwater is one that, he can ignite a game very quickly. Tommy Dearden's down on his form as well, but I feel a lot of it's because the forwards haven't been given them the momentum and their discipline's lacking at times. They fix that up. There'll be some big inroads into the Canberra, who are up there. They're under a bit of pressure. They've started the season well, but they lost last week.
Come on. You cannot say that you're going to back Cowboys in this one.
No, I think Canberra will win,
yes.
but I don't think it's going to be an easy night out up in North Queensland for them. But
Tarpanay comes back.
Well, big in.
Ricky's got them absolutely smarting over. But we did go on, and I did carry on a little bit on Monday about the poor decision making. But I can't see the Cowboys getting close to them. Yeah, well, maybe I'm looking at something different. I think they're way off, Kev, and I understand.
But they were better last week, Dobbo, against Brisbane. You know,
Brisbane weren't that good.
No, they weren't, but they were still in the game. They fought back from 12-0 down. They fought back and they got back in the game. So
yeah, but look what Canberra did to Brisbane the week before.
Yeah, but that's well.
I think Canberra. I'm going to go out there and please shout me down on Monday. 18 plus.
All right, I'm going nowhere near that margin. I'm thinking 12 maybe, but not 18.
Somebody's got to make a statement here. Okay, sorry to Todd Payton and everybody in North Queensland. I do love you.
They need to win, though. They need to win.
Game of the weekend, I think, is Sharks Bulldogs. Who do you like in this one?
I like the Sharks at home. I think they play a good style of football. Bulldogs without a couple of big guns still. So, you know, I just think at home, Cronulla have showed enough this year that they're going to be a good team, a quality team. Their consistency has been good. I like the way they defend. And the Bulldogs, they've been good and knocking on the door of that top 4. They're in the top 4 now, obviously. But, you know, I just think without those two, with Kickow and Burton, I just think that pulls them back a little bit, enough to get the Sharks home.
The Parramatta Manly game now has a lot more spice to it than ever because we've known what's gone on with DCE.
Yeah.
I think Manly still win it.
They still win.
They lose Paseka, huge out. Toff Sipley will come back in, or Brown, who are there. And like Lodgie's a couple of weeks away as well. So, but Parramatta were much improved.
They were, very much. And they will continue to improve, I think, under Jason Riles, but not enough to beat Manly, who've had a bit of a troubled week. But DCE's he's an old pro, and he won't let this certainly affect his gameplay and his leadership, at Manly. Very popular figure there. So, if anything, I think it'll inspire him and it'll inspire the others around him. Travojevic is back in at fullback, we believe. So that's good signs for Manly. Yeah, I think Manly way too strong.
Can I ask you, last game, Warriors versus the West Tigers. They're on a high, the West Tigers. Can they get... I mean, everybody's going, geez, they're going, well, they're 2-1. That's the best ever start since last year. They were 2-1 after 3 rounds last year.
Right.
So can they be 3-1 against the Wars at Campbelltown late Sunday night?
I think they can. I saw enough last week against the Dolphins in that second half. Coruscant took control of the game. If he continues to do that and they go with him, the rest of the Tigers players, I think Luai's been a big influence there. We haven't seen it a lot with his try assists or his line breaks, but he's a confidence player. I was watching before the game last week against the Dolphins, and they walked into the sheds, the Tigers, and I was just particularly watching how confident they looked and the spring in their step, and I thought, this can go either way. This can go the other way too, Dobbo, and head south. Too confident, too cocky, but Luai has that persona and that confidence that he brings to a football team, and that seems to be transferring into the other players around him. So he brings, and he's a winner. He's won the last 4 premierships, so that gives you an ability to take that to another club. And Taruva as well. I mean,
he's been good.
He's been good for them as well.
Terrell May's been the one.
Coruscant.
May's been unbelievable.
Yeah, May's been a great pickup for them. One they didn't have.
No.
Up until the very season.
3-1 the West Tigers after
3-1 the Tigers. Go the Tigers.
See Kevie tonight on Fox. He's be on the paddle for the next couple of days. And you can tune into Triple M as well over the weekend. He's part of the commentary. He's going to be everywhere over the course of the weekend. Kev, I can't wait for your cooking tips next week. Yeah. Monday when we have our review.
We've got something brewing right now, Dobbo.
The family are still smarting over the lamb roast. It was that good. The meat at Billy's lamb roast, unbelievable. We can't wait to that. InsideBall.podcast on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. Send your questions in as well. If
we got some questions this week?
Questions for Kevie.
Here we go. I love this segment, Dobbo.
Questions for Kevie. And do you think Ezra will come off the bench? And if so, how? When he comes back?
No, Ezra won't come off the bench. Ezra, I think he'll have a couple of games in Trust or Queensland Cup, and then back into at 6 for the Broncos.
Yep.
And I think Ben Hunt will move to 9, and that will make a reshuffle in there.
Right. So long term. I've got to ask this, and Christian May Watson asked this. Do you think Walshy will get better as the season goes on?
That is a given.
Well, you called him a man of the match last week, and he's had it. He
did some good things last week. And again, he was a bit sloppy with his handling, but some of the things that he did, he's doing that no other player in the game can do. The 40-20, that changed the game, Dobbo.
Yeah, the pass, the
and everyone looks at all the other stuff he's doing. Mate, you take that 40-20 every day of the week.
Yeah,
that's a momentum changer. That's as good as scoring a try. Well, it's not as good as scoring, but it gives them momentum to get down the other end of the field, and they scored off that set.
Yep.
That builds confidence, mate. And what about the pass over the
to Jesse Arthur's? It was very good. Yeah, it was.
And you know what Reece Walsh's best asset is? These things. He can run like the wind.
Yeah.
He's got great skates. He hasn't used them yet. We haven't seen them. They'll be there. Mark my words.
3 weeks in, would you be having Tom Gilbert and Tino in your Origin side if you had to select it right now?
Yeah, they'd be both in there. Tino starting.
Yep. And Tom Gilbert off the bench.
Yeah. Or even on an edge. I like him on an edge. He brings punch.
Why aren't they
brings
playing
toughness.
him?
He brings confidence.
Yeah, sorry to jump in. Why aren't they playing him on the edge?
He's moving to the edge this week, I believe.
Yeah, and
Plath to the edge.
And Plath back to 13.
And actually Plath back in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a better move for them.
Could Plath play Origin at some point?
I think he's a good utility value. You know, he can fill in basically anywhere from wing right through to front row.
Yeah.
Definitely. His father was one of the most unlucky players not to play State of Origin, John Plath. I played a lot of footy with Johnny.
Great footballer.
Great footballer. He was the utility king through the 90s. A lot of our listeners and people watching weren't even born then. And, mate, he was gold for the Broncos. First picked every week, first one on the field every week on the interchange.
Unreal. You can send your questions through every week to Kev. We love our questions for Kev. InsideBall.podcast, Inside Ball Podcast on TikTok, Facebook. We've got a website. There is our preview for round 4. Have a great time at Fox. Hopefully you get there on time. Remember last time you were a little bit late and you came on.
I slid in, yes.
You slid in.
I'll be there early tonight, mate.
Good on you. Till next time, we'll see you Monday after we recap round 4 of the Telstra Premiership Inside Ball Podcast.